Hey, it's Mazzy, and welcome back to the channel. The latest Rhino High Fidelity release was announced today. It's for sale now. You can go order it if you're interested in this title. And I've been listening to it for the last 3 days. I did get an advance copy from Rhino, and I'm going to review it right here and tell you about it. Now, you probably know already, but it is from 1967, November, the fourth album by the Monkees, Pisces, Aquarius, Capricorn, and Jones Limited. Now, this is special for a lot of reasons, and I'm going to tell you about that when I read the liner notes, the notes that came with the insert this time, because I did not know this. This is the first time ever in history that these were cut from the original master tapes. And I'll read some quotes from that. Now, the same as usual, it comes with the Obi strip, the hype strip sticker, not really a sticker, but the attachment that I slide into the front. People say, where do you put these things? Since they don't attach like Japanese Obis. You fold it and you stick it in there with the insert. How hard is that, right? At least that's what I do. It's up to you. Now, as usual, 180 gram vinyl, cut from the original analog master tapes by Kevin Gray, Coherent. Heavyweight gatefold jacket in terms of liner notes by Andrew Sandoval. He is the Monkees expert, the Monkees whiz, the power pop, sunshine pop historian. He's written books on the Monkees, and part of that, those books, part of that is included in the liner notes here. I'll get to that too. Now, this is interesting. This is limited edition to 5,000. It doesn't say like the rest of them, limited to 5,000 or 5,000 numbered. So I don't know if this is just going to be 5,000 a one and done. This one has the gatefold sleeve with photographs. These are photographs by the great photographer Henry Diltz. And the Monkees put 3 albums out in 1967, January, May, and November. #1 records, all of them. The Monkees gave the Beatles a run for the money, and many times surpassing them around that time. If you were there, you know what I'm talking about. This album hit #1 like all the rest of them. But I want to talk about this because this is interesting. This has some psychedelia, but it's not all in on psychedelia. It has actually more country rock than psychedelia. There's one problematic track on here from my point of view, and I'll get to that too when I go through some of the track listings here. But again, the great songwriters again that they've collected over the years since 1966. God, the year and a half, the 2-year period. First album came out in 1966, and that television show, of course, they call it the Prefab Four, right? Not the Ruddles, but the Monkees. I didn't get a lot of love from the rock press starting in 67, like Rolling Stone. They really didn't cover the Monkees or review the Monkees then. But this is an excellent record. And I think the Rhino HiFi does it justice. Now, I have all the originals, which, they were fine in the day, mono and stereo, but we played them on those crappy little record players over and over and over again. I was there. I listened to them. But I want to talk about this because this, in a way, surprised me, but it also didn't surprise me. Run Out Groove, which is a division of Warner Rhino in a way, put out these excellent vinyl issues, twofers. Basically, these emulated the great expanded CDs that Andrew Sandoval curated. You have the debut here, and this is the original stereo mix, and there's a bonus disc on this that matches those CD things that came out. So the bonus discs have TV versions, mono versions, some other edits and things on that. And these were put out by Run Out Groove, again, that separate division. Also cut by Kevin Gray. You won't get any better sounding Monkees albums ever than this series. Also, gatefolds here. From Andrew Sandoval in his book and his writing and his curation. Then you have more of the Monkees. Another gatefold, again, like the rest, this has a bonus disc of alternate versions, outtakes, some other things. So the proper album, again, cut by Kevin Gray. but this is Rhino, Run Out Groove. These were numbered. I don't know if they're still available, but if you want the Monkee collection, these are the ones to get. They're excellent. And then just what, not even 2 years ago, this came out. I thought Run Out Groove was finished, but this came out as a Rhino. Does it even say Run Out Groove? No, it's a Rhino issue. And again, this one has the second. Again, cut by Kevin Gray. He apparently did a lot of these Monkee records the last few years at Coherent, and it's excellent. Again, the best sounding versions. These are the stereo versions, and they're excellent. And again, this one also has its own gatefold. But now we get to the main course. Pisces, Aquarius, Capricorn, Jones Limited. Another band, one of the few bands around that time, they were so popular that they get away with just silhouettes. Remember, like, when Rubber Soul came out in end of 1965, considered one of the first albums without the band name, but of course the Beatles were so recognizable. But again, as I said earlier, this is a mix of a little psychedelia, and some country and pop records, and it's excellent. Now, of course, the insert, like all of them, has the tape boxes here, and it has liner notes in the middle, and these liner notes track each song, and these are from Andrew Sandoval's book, The Day-by-Day Story, available, of the Monkees. He is the Monkees expert. Several books, including this massive book following the Monkees, kind of the entire history, the day by day. I don't have that book. As much as I'm into Monkees, that's too much monkey business for me in terms of reading, but people swear by it. And he's the guy. He's the guy that curated this set. And it was a surprise for me seeing a Rhino HiFi. So obviously, from now on, are we going to get more Rhino HiFis, finish off the Monkees catalog? Maybe. Obviously, I doubt they'd go back and switch back to that run-out groove type of format with the extra disc that parallel the CDs. Now, this is important. I have to read some of this. Now, be patient with me here. Technical notes. This Rhino HiFi edition of the Monkees' fourth album was cut by Kevin Gray at Coherent March 11th, 2025. So just like 6 months ago. It's the first vinyl pressing of this album ever to be directly mastered from the original analog stereo mastered tapes. Remember that. This is the first time. When the album was originally issued in November 1967 on Cole Gems, a distribution of RCA, the original master had been transferred twice to adjust EQ levels and compression settings for consistent cuttings at RCA's 3 plants in Indianapolis, Iowa, Rockaway, New Jersey, and Hollywood, California. Now listen to this. This is extremely important. An original stereo U.S. Colgems pressing of Pisces was used to match the song-to-song level for this HiFi cut, but without any of the original EQ or compression added or subtracted. As a result, this is the closest representation to the original masters ever offered to the public. It goes on to here talking about getting the tapes. Rhino goes back to the 80s in terms of the Monkees, once the Monkees came back on MTV, and Rhino really got into in their genesis of the label after they did sort of the Dr. Demento kitschy stuff. They did a lot of those Monkees records and a picture disc and things. And that's in the DNA with Bill Inglett back in those days, cutting these and mastering these records and then CDs, obviously. And this is the first time they went to the tapes. And it talks about here trying to get the tapes when the archivist at RCA, the tape librarian, had the tapes in his possession. He resisted. He wouldn't give them out to Warner Music, to Rhino, who took ownership years later. So it's an interesting story on here, along with the Andrew Sandoval cut-by-cut thing. This, again, after Headquarters, they were playing a lot of their own instruments, but they brought some other supplemental artists on here. And I think one of the tracks on here is the last time Mickey Dolenz played drums, and they brought Eddie Ho, the great session player, played most of the drums on this album, and it's a really good record. And Mike Nesmith is really well represented. I think 5 songs he either wrote or sings lead on, which is more than he sang on any other record. Now, Salesman, She Hangs Out, great songs, of course. You have Mickey Dolenz doing a lot of the leads as well. Love Is Only Sleeping is a beautiful song, and the big hit on this album is Pleasant Valley Sunday. Jerry Goffin and Carole King song, an incredible song. The one song on here that I think is a tosser, is a throwaway song, is Hard to Believe. It's a kitschy kind of, it'd be like a throwaway for Burt Bacharach and Hal David. It's one of those type of songs, but it doesn't fit on this record. This is sort of a modern record, modern as 67 goes, again, with the country and the psychedelic and Moog synthesizers and a couple tracks, which I'll get to in a little bit, but that just doesn't fit. What I'm doing, Hang Around, Mike Nesmith, there's great, kind of like country gentleman guitar licks on here, great country. Again, this is really the time when the Byrds are doing their folk rock thing, but the Byrds wouldn't go country, and then until the following year in 68 with the Beau Brummels doing their country record, Bradley's Barn, and of course we know what happened with the Flying Burrito Brothers, and later. There's country shit on here. I always said the Beatles did things early on too, with Act Naturally and a number of songs that are country-centric, or country adjacent, I should say, but that's a sound that definitely Mike Nesmith was into on this record as well. There's a little kitsch on here too, with a little kind of, a lot of these bands in the psychedelic era and pop era were putting these little like vignettes in to segue between tracks. And it's Peter Patterson's pet pig named Porky. Popping your peas. That leads right into the great Pleasant Valley Sunday. It's a wonderful track, a wonderful single, a great song, as I mentioned a few minutes earlier. Then it gets into the one song that's probably the most psychedelic on here, and that is Daily Nightly. And on this version, on this record, Mickey Dolenz, for the first time, plays the Moog synthesizer. So it's one of the early Moog synthesizers on record. Now, Mickey Dolenz bought one of the first 20 Moog synthesizers. Mickey Dolenz kind of fiddles with it on this track. He bought it, brought it back to Los Angeles, and fiddles around with it. Later on the final song, Star Collector, kind of a fun song that Davy Jones sings. At the end, it builds up, and there is some Moog synthesizer. That's played by Paul Beaver, who actually knows the instrument better. Those Beaver and Krause records on Warner Brothers are quite interesting, and I believe the Quadio surround CDs, recently put out a Beaver and Krause record. I haven't heard that, but I have the original albums. I just love those. They're kind of avant electronic music, and not so commercial, but really interesting records to check out. As much as they were this kind of prefab band, made-up band, they did some really cool stuff. And this fourth record, their third in 1967, can you believe that? Don't Call on Me starts with this kind of, it's interesting thing that Moby Grape did on Wow, when you have the old-timey introduction, and where you have to change your record player to 78 on the last track on Wow, Moby Grape's second album. And there's a little intro here, that Mickey Dolenz stuff, and it goes into Don't Call on Me, kind of a ballad, a schmaltzy ballad, sung again by Michael Nesmith, but that one works on here. There's a whole thing of vaudevillian with psychedelic. Obviously, McCartney obviously is most notable for doing that with Your Mother Should Know and When I'm 64, all that kind of stuff. I mean, he's the guy, the tunesmith for that type of stuff, bringing that music hall music back and inserting it into psychedelic. And they're not definitely the only bands that did that, but that's on here too. Two other songs I need to call out. Words is a great song. Mickey Dolenz sings that at end side one. Powerful song, a wonderful pop song. But I do need to give a shout out to Cuddly's Toy. It is such again, a vaudevillian music hall type of song that Davy Jones sings, perfect for the Artful Dodger singing that song, written by a unknown at the time, Harry Nilsson. And it's a wonderful, wonderful song. It's one of the best sounding songs on this record. So the dynamics are great, enough bass. It's not a heavy bass record. What was on the tape, that's on the tape apparently. It's not too bright. It's just right in there. I think maybe Salesman and Star Collector are the lesser songs sonic wise from my first few listens on here. They're not bad at all, but I think this is recorded at RCA Studios in New York and Hollywood, several studios, so it might be something to do with that, the different studios. But otherwise, it's a really good sounding record, and it's an important record in the story. Pisces, Aquarius, Capricorn, Jones Limited, a wonderful record, and I think this could bring a new audience to it. It is a pop record, but it's an historic record. And I hope they do all these Monkees. And when I heard about this last week, I heard this was the one they picked. Frankly, I was surprised because of those Run Out Groove. And I know they've been continuing those, even when Run Out Groove is not really, I don't think, doing records on its own. That subdivision of Warner's, Rhino has taken them over. But maybe the only disappointment, I would say, is that since this is a Rhino HiFi, it doesn't have that extra disc. But I have that on CD, and as much as I'll listen to those, I think the CD is sufficient. Rhino High Fidelity, cut by Kevin Gray, the fourth Monkees album, their third in 1967. Fantastic record. So check it out. Put your comments below. Is this a good choice? More boomer music? I think it's a good choice, and I was hoping they would continue the series cut by Kevin Gray, because they're excellent records, the best these records have ever sounded. Thanks for watching. Mazzy loves you.